Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte's self-proclaimed war on drugs has been blamed for thousands of alleged extrajudicial killings. Now on the island of Negros, he's launched another bloody war against a communist insurgency. But many say, in reality, it's a brutal campaign to annihilate his critics. As the death toll mounts, 101 East investigates Duterte's new war.
He was here spending time with his friends. Normally he does that every day. Actually, he was standing right here. And the store owner was sitting right there with the yellow mark.
We're at the scene of a targeted killing.
And just suddenly, this motorcycle stopped over there and faced Ben and called out his name.
They knew who he was.
They knew who he was. They said, Ben, and when Ben looked at them, then they shot him.
So those witnesses who
Yesha Ramos' husband was gunned down outside this shop late one night in November last year. This is the first time she's returned.
I could not really find the strength to come back and see where he lied down, where he was lifeless. I feel so mad, I don't know, I feel so sad, I feel so just really angry.
Ben Ramos was a human rights lawyer. His wife blames President Duterte's government for his death.
It was the state forces. Taking the life of a person who is very innocent, who has been very supported by farmers is not an answer.
The island of Negros is known as the sugar bowl of the Philippines. The hundreds of thousands of hectares of cane fields are concentrated in the hands of just a few politically powerful plantation owners. Decades of exploitation of farm workers have fueled support for a communist insurgency. Its guerrilla group, the New People's Army, or NPA, is based in the remote mountain areas and is recognised globally as a terrorist organisation. In November last year, President Duterte declared a state of emergency on Negros, ordering military and police reinforcements to the island to launch operations against the New People's Army. But human rights organisations accuse state forces of not only targeting insurgents, but carrying out extrajudicial killings of those perceived to pose a political threat to the government.
Pati yung 1-year-old pinapakialam mo.
President Duterte has openly called for the killing of human rights activists, as well as lawyers who represent those accused of being NPA.
One of these days kayong human rights, kayo ang imbestigahin ko. Totoo. Conspiracy. If they are obstructing justice, you shoot them.
Since he came to power in 2016, there have been at least 87 alleged extrajudicial killings of peasants, human rights advocates and lawyers on Negros Island.
It's really the state and Duterte's government, the systematic attack and political persecution of activists.
Clarissa Singson, Zara Alvarez and Ben Ramos's widow, Yesha, are all human rights workers.
We take on cases of extrajudicial killings, fabricated charges, massive arrests.
In April this year, photographs of the three women appeared on a poster of more than 60 people branded as fronts for the New People's Army. The phone number to report sightings of them is for the local police.
It means they are saying that you are NPA.
And should be killed.
And should be killed. And it's really serious. It's justified.
Two people on the poster are already dead.
Attorney Ben.
Yesha's husband Ben was the first to be killed. Then in April, this human rights advocate and city councillor was shot in the head while riding his motorbike. After each killing, Clarissa and Zara received death threats, saying they'd be next.
We know that it's part of the state, to harass and to sow fear so that we will be silent and stop our work.
This village was the first village that we organized way back in 1994. It was the year Ben passed the bar exam, and so this was the community that he first handled.
Right, so he just...
In the late 80s, government reforms were supposed to redistribute land to peasants. But the congresswoman who owned the plantation here refused to comply.
less than $1 a day.
Ben and Yesha's NGO led a 4-year legal battle for this farmers' collective.
Attorney Ben Ramos, dako ang nabulig di sa amon. Sa wala kami kabalo sang amon kinamatarong without him we cannot own this land.
Since his death, the farmers say the government's trying to force them to disband their collective.
Ngati kami sa bahin diri namon bilang mangunguma nga nagaisa amo man ang pagtan-aw nila sa amon nga kuno. Ginapasibangdan kami nga may kaangtanan sa CPP-NPA pero wala na diri sang presensya sang CPP-NPA sa amon nga komunidad. Attorney Ben Ramos pagpatay sa iya dako gid ang nadula sa amon. Halos kung amon kabuhi nadula man pud sa iya.
Kahapon may nabalitaan ako.
In the months leading up to Ben's death, Yesha says a local military radio program intensified its campaign against him, claiming he was recruiting for the NPA.
Ang opisyales, ang aton ng kasundaluhan, tama kabisig, na para makabulik sa aton mga pinalangga nga mag-uuma. Pero kung mga terorista ang NPA, kag ang legal nga fronte nila, busy man.
Then in October 2018, 9 farmers were shot dead with high-powered weapons as they slept in a field. Ben gave legal advice to their families and also members of the Sugar Workers Federation who were charged with the murders.
The Sagay 9 massacre happened in the north of Negros. And of course, a lot of people there knew that the killings were state-sponsored. So we were discussing what kind of case we could file, and so earned the ire of the military.
Less than 3 weeks after the massacre, Ben was dead.
So I have here the autopsy report that was done by the Commission on Human Rights. 1 bullet hit his heart and came out on the lungs. And they said the gunman was really very professional gunman. It's really a hitman.
CCTV cameras captured the hitman after the shooting, wearing a hooded sweater on the back of a motorbike.
What makes you so certain it was an extrajudicial killing?
Because days before he was killed, he was already being surveilled, monitored by the intelligence officers of the military.
So he told you that? Or?
He told me that, and I was with him, and I saw how he was being surveilled.
Yesha says the intimidation hasn't stopped with her husband's murder. Plain-clothed military tailed his funeral convoy and allegedly threatened the mourners with a pistol. 2 were later charged with posing a grave threat. Since then, there have been more death threats.
Some of our staffs have received these photos with them inside the coffee.
And she says the military continues to stalk them as they try to do their work.
You can see in this picture that while we were conducting the mission, 3 men who were all covered just came in, took pictures, and they were just standing right next to the military. These people are intelligence officers coming from their camp. It really scared me a lot because the way they dressed up with this jacket and a hood, it was the same clothing that the gunman used when he killed my husband.
Major General Palade is a spokesman for the President's new National Task Force to end communist armed conflict. Despite widespread media coverage of Ben Ramos's murder, he says he's not familiar with the 11-month-old case.
We have to investigate We have to help the Philippine National Police investigate this issue, and we have to make sure that the guilty amongst the armed forces, among members of the armed forces, would be prosecuted also.
So you're not disputing that perhaps Attorney Benjamin Ramos was targeted by state forces?
I don't know, but like I said, we're going to help in this investigation to make sure that there's a fair amount of judgment that's used in this investigation.
In Bacolod City, on the west coast of the island, protesters take to the streets to demonstrate against the mounting deaths of civilians in counterinsurgency operations. Zara Alvarez from the recently formed NGO Defend Negros defies the death threats against her to document eyewitness accounts of the killings.
Even in some dangers, we still investigate the cases of human rights violations because we believe that the persons in authority won't do it. In the recent killings, it is very clear that it's the police who killed those victims.
17-year-old Sheila May Isugan and her family fled their village soon after her older brother was shot dead by state forces. She says she no longer goes to school because she's being watched. We meet her in the evening at a safe house.
Sheila May, nice to meet you.
Her horror began when police arrived at her home early one morning in December last year.
Dayon. Kalitra nga ni abot ang pulis dayon. Gipanaog mi, gipa-drop then lain pud nga nakabunit tapos yung uban naka uniform tapos ang uban naka civilian sa pulis. Naman ay bata si Manong gidala yang bata na gipakuha ang bata sa pulis dis yang inahan tapos nanami kuan nga so kuan kuno niya naka hands up pa si Manong nakitaan sa akong usang mangod nga naka hands up pa tapos kadugay-dugay nakadungog na mig tulo ka buto din.
Sheila May's brother, Jesus Isugan, had turned 27 on Christmas Day, just 2 days before he was killed. He was a construction worker and the main breadwinner for the family. His mother Delia was working in the fields when she heard the gunshots and ran back to the house.
Sumisigaw ako, bakit pinatay? Ang anak ko, wala nang kasalanan, wala nang ginawa ng kasalanan. Gusto niyong may patayin, akin na lang, sa akin na lang. Yung sagot nila, yung anak mo, NPA. Wala ni NPA, tapos nang laban siya. Sabi ko, hindi na NPA ng anak ko, construction worker na sa Cebu.
Delia was arrested and taken to the police station.
Nakita ko ang 5 patay na dating na. Sa sulod sa presento, dinala nila. Tapos nakita na ko ang pinaka-consis, ang anak ko, na sinulod na nila sa presento.
She alleges the police placed a gun in front of her and then asked her why she had it.
Ang sagot ko, hindi na akin. Pinatay pa yung anak ko. Bakit paaminin min ang baril nga wala sa buong buhay ko, wala ko hawak ng baril. Kasi matatakot ako ng baril. Kaya wala kaming ginawa. Bakit? Yung karapatan naman lang namin ng mga maliliit nga magsasaka, yung manghingi ng tunay na reforma ng yuta.
Delia and her family are now living in hiding, scattered across the country, fearing for their lives.
Yun, natatago kami kasi hindi na kami tanungin la, kundi diretso na kami patay. Yun man lang mabigyan ng hustisya ng anak kong pinatay nila.
blame our president.
These women also want justice, but are scared they'll be easily targeted if they show their faces. Their family members were killed on March 30th by a joint military and police operation. Out of the 37 homes searched that day, 14 people ended up dead. Steve Arapok was a motorcycle taxi rider who, according to his mother and sister, had been labelled as NPA. They tell of how it was still dark when police barged through the back of the house early one morning.
Gitiruhan mi ani mga armas dito, daghan kay sila, nagbangot pa. Na nakasulod dito sa amo ang humanan dito ana, yung gipangguyod mi dito sa gawas kay dapa kuno. Akong anak ato masik sa second floor na.
Steve was sleeping on the second floor.
Naghinay sad naog kay taas man sad buhok, iyang giingon ana niyang buhok ana. Diingon siya, sir, pwede ba nga atong istoryahon?
Nag-ana gi siya, nag-hands up siya, which is dili gid unta to dapat nga kuno sa mga army kay wala gid gani sila naghatag na mo og warrant papers.
The autopsy found that Steve was shot 4 times in the head, chest, and twice in the abdomen. Mayanne's husband was also a motorcycle taxi rider. A chairman of a local branch of a transport union, she says he too had been labelled as NPA, but insists he had no connection to the rebel group.
Gihasi-hasi na siya sa mga militar, nga inana, sa mga pulis. Pero wala gud siya nahadlok ato. Sige ra gud siya padayon nga gabal-habal gud siya dayong mag.
When the police arrived early in the morning of March 30th, they served her husband with a search warrant. She and their 4-year-old son were beside him.
Nakaano sila nakabangot sila Di mo makita yung inigay nila. Sabi ng pulis, basa yung search warrant mo. Yun lang, basa niya. Basa, mayroon nang nakasulat na M16 at saka yung 38. Yun lang narinig ko, binaril siya agad. Sa kalitra nga, wala may kabalo, unsa iyang sala.
She claims her sister then saw 2 policemen planting guns in the laundry.
Kunti lang yung labahan namin Doon lang sinikip sa ilalim. Parang matunayan na mayroon silang baril nga nakita. Hinintay yung barangay captain, tapos pagdating, umakyat ulit. Kinuha na nila.
Meanwhile, her husband's body was hastily removed.
Hinawakan dito. Tsaka yung paa. Tapos ginanon lang. Tapos pag dating doon sa kalsada, nakaabang na yung sasakyan. Ginanon lang siya Parang lang siyang baboy tinapon Ganon lang.
It's more than 6 months since her husband was killed, and police are yet to give her a copy of the search warrant. But even if she had it, Mayanne says she wouldn't take legal action.
Ayaw niyang pumayag ng nanay niya Ayaw. Takot daw, baka naman sila ang barilin at saka yung kamag-anak niya. Kaya takot sila.
And that's something human rights worker Clarissa Singson admits makes it difficult to seek justice.
Even though we have witnesses and we have documented strong evidences, in court we can't file because there's no witnesses who will brave enough, because they fear for their lives, because we cannot ensure their safety and security. We cannot even ensure our own safety and security.
The essence of this national task force.
As a spokesman for the President's anti-communist task force, Major General Palade dismisses the family's fears as an admission of guilt.
Those who are threatened are probably hiding something. Those who are threatened are probably members of these underground mass organizations.
He's steadfast in his view that those killed fought back.
They won't be killing if there are no resistance, armed resistance. So that's what happened. I think that's the direction of the investigation. The result of the investigation would soon come out, and you can check.
But when we detail the cases where witnesses say there was no resistance, he denies any knowledge of them.
Just to be clear, some of the alleged atrocities that I've raised with you today, you're saying that you're hearing these for the first time.
Yes. many of what you've said, I've heard, personally I've heard for the first time. It should worry us because I must tell you that there's no such thing as state-sanctioned killings. No.
But there have been media reports on this. I mean, how did you not know this?
This is the first time that I heard this in detail. In the newspaper, they don't say it, and in many of these reports, actually, we doubt the sources because the media, especially the mainstream media, they're dominated by these CPP cadres in the print, in TV even.
Today, Zara Alvarez is taking us to Canleon City in the heart of Negros, where most of the killings have occurred. In July, 4 political figures were gunned down here. Who's responsible is still unknown.
That's CCTV footage from the relative of one of the victims.
Many, like Zara, believe this CCTV video of the July killings bears eerie similarities to official operations conducted by state forces.
They did not identify themselves, but the conduct is almost the same. So it's like they did it in the middle of the night, in early dawn. There's the fully armed men loaded to different vehicles, and they were wearing vests, and they have these high-powered firearms.
Right. Yeah.
And it seems they are so relaxed, and they are just not in a hurry. They are not afraid of being caught.
The operation took little more than 5 minutes.
The CCTV cameras are on the family compound, trained on the driveway and on the guard station. But unfortunately, there were none that captured the entrance to the house, just a short walk away.
According to his family, City Councillor Ramon Halandoni was killed as he came out of his bedroom. The autopsy found 23 gunshot wounds to his body. Graffiti left on the house read, "Long live NPA," but the rebels deny responsibility, and the family, who now fear for their lives, tell us they don't believe the NPA were the killers. They say the councillor helped poor families in the mountains, but had no involvement with the rebel group. This anonymous death threat was sent to a family member after the killing, accusing them of supporting the NPA. It warns, you are the next target. And while the president is in charge, your name will not be erased from the list. Around the corner from the first murder is the home of another victim, this time the local council chief. His son is also worried about his safety and doesn't want to show his face.
We're afraid. We're afraid because we do not know who our enemy is. We're afraid.
The walls bear the scars from M16 bullets.
My father got out of his room and then go to the window. Maybe while he opened the window, that's the time he was shot.
And where was he shot?
In his face. The entry is in his face, and it goes out at the lower back side of the ear.
From here, it's believed the gunman drove north to another city where they killed 2 more people. But the big question is, how did such a large convoy of armed men get through the numerous police checkpoints in the area?
I don't know how to explain it, but let me tell you again that the government is not or does not condone those things. That's going to be part, again, of a commitment to you, to the people of Negros, that will do our part in making sure that they conduct the investigation properly so that we will be able to pursue the criminals.
So you will
suspects.
Personally make sure that there's an investigation, because I mean there are many who say, you know, it has all the hallmarks of a state-sanctioned killing.
No, there's no such thing as state-sanctioned. It's the same as this drug problem, I think. They say it's a state sanction. No, there's no such thing. what kind of government will sanction these killings. But like I said, people get hurt, especially if they show resistance. But just the same, the government is sincere in making sure that there's justice. Justice is being served.
But for Yesha Ramos and her children, there's been no justice.
I feel so hopeless. It hurts me a lot not to find justice. Ben is just one of the 87 farmers and lawyers and teachers who were killed because of this counter-insurgency program. And all of us, all of the 87 have not gotten any justice.